I'm here to tell you today that the past, your past, can change. And by changing the past, you're actually changing your future. Do you want to know more? Hello everybody and welcome to a Radio Alchemy. In today's video, I want to talk about a very popular topic on the law of assumption community, but I want to explain you why scientifically the revision technique that Neville Goddard has taught most likely is actually real. Now, I don't even want to talk about the fact that it works and gives you a success story because YouTube is literally flooded with videos after another of girls and boys and people telling you the revision works. The past can be changed and you can access a different future. And I highly suggest you to watch all these other videos that tells you about success stories of revision and the fact that revision is real. In this video, I just want to introduce you to revision and explain you why scientifically and physically it actually can be really possible that Neville was totally spot on. Now, obviously, we take his word for granted in this channel because I tried it for myself and I know that Neville is right. However, I also like to look at modern science and what they're saying because I think it really helps our logical mind to understand better the way the universe works. And if you are interested perhaps in knowing more about quantum physics, I have made a video on Patreon. You can watch it if you join my community. You can follow me on Instagram on nayup.visions where I talk about this in my post all the time. And also if you want DM coaching, you find them down below. You can get coaching with me or tarot readings. But now let's talk about revision. So it will always puzzle me the fact that Neville taught, and if you don't know who Neville Goddard is, Neville Goddard was a modern mystic that taught about the law of assumption and how to manifest your desires. Highly suggest you guys look into him. However, I always got puzzled about how can we change the past? Because every single time that I think about the past or my past or anyone's past, I think about memory. Like the past is gone. We cannot really physically go there anymore, but it is stored somewhere in our consciousness. It's stored somewhere in our memory. And sometimes we get this random thought where we remember what happened in the past, and usually what we remember about the past is what we think is important, and most of the time our brain is decoding, encoding actually the past in a different way. Like it's never how we felt it, it's never how we actually perceived it with our sensorium, and sensorium means with our eyes and five senses, but we bring different emotions to our memories, whether it is a song that wasn't even there playing, but as soon as we hear the song, we remember about that particular scene. We bring smell, we bring touch, we bring colors, we bring feelings to those memories, and we give meanings especially to those memories. So the memory is something really mystical and really mysterious in and of itself as a part of our brain. However, we do remember the past, right, through our memory. And let's look at what Neville has taught us to do, and let's look at the science a little bit behind it and probably why it works. And I'm telling you, it just actually does. So Neville said that by the use of imagination, which is nothing but conscious visualization, we can go and change and revision the past. So we can change the scene and what has happened. And actually what Neville taught is that we should do revision every single day. Every single night when we go to bed, we should imagine the day as we actually want it to happen. And Neville taught this because it says by changing our memories of the past, we are actually going to change the future. Because if we go to bed with the sensations and feelings of what has actually happened in the 3D reality, what we actually experience, we have to understand that the present moment, it's nothing but the past already. So by falling asleep in the consciousness of what has already happened, what is hardened already into fact, we're going to just perpetuating that in the future because Neville believed that time is cyclical. So we always encounter the same things over and over again, the same experiences with different clothes, with different faces. However, they are all projections of our self-concept. They are all projections, especially of our memory, because memory is also where self-concept is our sense of identity, what we believed, our experience, who we are right now. So if we don't like, Neville said, who we are right now, we can revision the past, therefore changing our experiences and self-concept. And this self-concept, this avatar, is going to project in the future and therefore change our experiences. Because think about even the movie Sliding Doors. If we truly would have a time machine physically and change some of the events that happened in the past, we might not want to change everything, but let's say we want to change some of the events that happened in the past, especially in those short past, not that long-term memory, but the short-term memory. We want to change that. But of course, the future is going to look completely different. If you would have took different decision in your life, you would be somewhere completely different. That actually makes a lot of sense. And it is very funny how memory works, because we have two compartments in memories, which is long-term memory and short-term memory. If we look at long-term memory, we could definitely say or assume that our long-term memory is where our self-concept is stored, because that is what has actually already hardened in the fact. That's why the 3D is already passed, because it's the byproduct of the assumptions of that long-term memory, of that old self-concept. But when we look at the short-term memory, we scientists and neuroscientists believe that basically short-term memory becomes long-term memory after, I think, half an hour or something like that of observing and recording with our sensorium, with our eyes, what has happened, right? So if we immediately revise what has happened that we don't like, it actually doesn't harden in effect. This is science. Like, literally, this is possible. At least that's what I'm saying. I know science is not there yet, but what Neville said is actually scientifically possible, because science says that the memory cannot be changed, because it doesn't have access to consciousness in the way that Neville did. However, it is possible, and even science backs this up. If we change our short-term memory, if we change our memory, we actually are changing our experiences, because experiences are made by the observer. This reality is on hologram. However, I explained this a lot better in my Patreon, because this video will be way too complicated. So just take my word for granted on this, because I've made studies about it. So if we change we can change even the long-term memory, in my belief, and also in Neville belief, we can change our long-term memory. However, when we revise on spot, we don't allow the short-term memory or the observation of the 3D to harden in effect. We're literally changing them so quickly. That is why somebody like Sammy Ingram or other coaches, they tell you revise on spot. Circumstance don't matter, because in the moment that you revise on spot, it doesn't become your self-concept. It doesn't go into your long-term memory, and therefore it doesn't get determined in your experience, okay? But check this out. Why revision, in my opinion, is so powerful, and Neville was right, and you should do it every single day. And it works even in the long-term memory. Because, like I said, Neville used to say that time is cyclical. Therefore, have you noticed that in relationships, in your money problems, or where you struggle in life, you always encounter the same feeling, right? The same situation. And that is because down the line in your memory, you should go back to the first memory that gave you that feeling. And if you change that, so for instance, let's say that you've been abandoned, or you've been rejected when you were a child, or somewhere down the line in your life, most likely you're going to meet patterns of rejections over and over again, because that rejection is stored in your consciousness. And because you can only project who you are, you're only manifesting who you are. If that is still part of your self-concept, rejection, you are going to encounter this concept of yourself, because everyone is you pushed out, everyone is your mirror. You're going to encounter this concept over and over and over again. Sure, you can affirm. Fine, do self-concept affirmation. However, it is faster if you revise it. If you revise it over and over and over again, that memory of the past is going to change. And therefore, your body, your brain will say, I've never been rejected. And if you have never been rejected, think about it. If that memory has never happened, it will never happen. The future will change, because you took completely different actions with your consciousness. That thing never happened. And this is why, one of the reasons why revisions is so powerful. However, how is that so? How can we actually change the past? Why this is working? Because it doesn't make any sense to our three-dimensional minds. It just doesn't. And it is okay that it doesn't make sense. You have to love your three-dimensional mind because it's making you feel what you're feeling. It's making you experience this beautiful life. So there's nothing wrong with the 3D and your three-dimensional thinking. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. However, you have to understand that who you are right now, the 3D reality, it's not everything that there is. Everyone talks about the fourth dimension, and I'm going to make a video about what the fourth dimension even for science is. But basically, there is a larger you. When we are addressing the higher self, truly, what is the higher self? The higher self is yourself residing in a super world, residing in a world where there are all the possibilities that you could have experienced from birth and to death, from birth to death, already exist in the now. Every possible pathways, decision, time lapse that could have possibly exist in the now in a fourth dimensional state. And they exist in this what we can call super world. So your higher self has experienced all of it. And for science, this is especially for a branch of science that interprets the implication of quantum mechanics, which is basically quantum binarism. I don't know how to pronounce it. Cubism. Basically, they say that there are two branches, but let's put it very simple. Like they say that reality is a quantum waves of possibility. And once you bring an observer to look at one of these possibilities, this probability of time lapse, this probability of your decisions, the future and the past, this quantum wave collapses into a particle, and therefore everything is particle, right? Collapses into matter. So by understanding, and watch my video on Patreon, but by understanding quantum physics, you do understand that there is a chance that truly this is true. So your past, the version that you can imagine, because if you can imagine, it already exists. Creation is finished. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be able to imagine. The version of you that never experienced rejection exists in the super world, already exists in the present moment. Because remember, the super world that where the higher self resides is all the time lapses or the quantum waves overlapping in the system in superposition. They already exist all together. This is who you really are, all of it. And who you are experiencing the 3D is one pathway, one split that you have took in decision, okay? But if you go back in time with your human imagination, by changing your memories, you basically make collapse another quantum wave. I know it sounds so weird to explain it in this way, and I am sure that people will think I'm crazy, but it is possible. That's all I'm saying. And therefore, if you align to a different split, if you change the memory and say this thing has never happened, your future will change. And this is why Neville taught revision, and revision, he said, was so important, because by changing not only your self-concept but what has happened in the past, because in actuality it already that past that you want already exists. So if you say that is what actually happened, not this crappy thing that happened to me, your future is changing. And it is possible if we assume that quantum physics, quantum mechanics, or cubism is right. So I don't know, but I'm so excited to look at reality in this way. If we assume that the multiverse is real, then that version of you already exists, and this is why revision can work. The only thing is that science believes that the memory cannot be changed, but Neville has taught that through the human imagination it can be changed. But let's look at that for a minute. Why scientists says that memory cannot be changed? Because listen, when you are closing your eyes and you're doing a technique of visualization, the images, even though they're more fuzzy, however, the images that you're seeing in your brain are no different from what you are seeing in the 3D experience. You're still seeing images, right? You're still smelling things and feeling stuff. It's the same. For your brain, it's actually the same. The only difference is that when you close your eyes, your brain, even your subconscious mind is aware of the fact that you're doing a technique. So I'm going to be honest with you. Your brain knows that you're doing a technique. Your brain remembers, because it's recording everything, remembers that you're closing your eyes and you're doing a visualization. However, check this out. Neville used to say you have to repeat it. over and over and over again until you bring all the senses of reality. You smell things or you feel just good. Don't believe too much, I have to feel it real. I made a separate video about this. When Neville used to say you have to feel it real, you have to feel good about it. And because you're repeating it in your brain over and over again, your brain, the fact that you're using a technique, it's going to forget it. Because you keep seeing the same scene in your mind. So your brain is like, I'm a bit confused, I don't understand. Maybe this is a memory. It will the memory of your brain of you doing a technique by repetition is gonna fade. And at some point, the feeling that Neville was talking about is the feeling of, shit, I actually think this thing has really happened, because you keep repeating it. Or you keep affirming it, however you want, it's the same. Or you keep scripting it, whatever. But your brain is literally gonna be like, this thing has already happened. Like, this is a memory. Bam! When your brain is, and it can happen like in a night. It doesn't have to happen in long repetition. It depends on you. Depends on how your brain functions. But when your brain is literally gonna say, shit, I actually can't distinguish anymore if this was a memory or has actually happened, you're changing reality. You're shifting reality for fucking real. And it is crazy. Neville was right. Not only science, in my opinion, is backing this up, but if, let's say that the quantum probabilities of the fourth dimension are actually a physical reality, and you're changing your memory and therefore collapsing a different reality into existence, you're changing the past. And by changing the past, you're changing your future. And I tried it on myself in multiple instances. I don't like to talk about my private life, maybe some other videos, but guys, revision works. It is true. People forget what happened in the past because it never happened. You might be, honestly, the only one that will remember that. And at some point, you will think you're crazy and be like, I don't know if that thing that I used to remember actually happened, because now everybody keeps saying that it didn't happen. Weird shit will start to happen in your reality. I don't know how to explain. Watch all these videos of success stories of revision. It will happen. If you change your past, it will change your future. You will shift into a new version of you that already exists. Okay, and that's it for this video. So what is the take from this video? My suggestion that is so powerful is to not skip revision, to watch other content, not just my content. I know my content is a little bit weird compared to other coaches, so watch other coaches that talk about revision in a simpler way than I do, and look at what they do, look at their success story, and trust them that they're not crazy, they're telling the truth, because it is true. And try to do it as Neville taught it. Try to do it every day. Every day when you go to bed, revise the day. Revise it. Imagine in a different way. And please revise on spot. If you receive a message from your SP or something has happened in the first half an hour that it's happening, revise it immediately so it doesn't go in your long-term memory. If you change it immediately, it's gone. It doesn't even sit in your self-concept, and you don't have to repeat it over and over and over again as a cycle of your memory projecting into this reality. So revise what you don't want. You can revise with scripting, it works. You can revise with affirmations, it works. You can revise with visualization, it works. Nevertheless, these 3 techniques, they all work. You just have to find the one that works for you. I try them, a lot of them. The one that work the best for me are scripting and imagination. Visualization is the one that works faster than anything else. And so it is mind-blowing. It is mind-blowing how science is discovering all of this, and I don't even understand why people don't talk about the science behind this, because the problems with science is that they didn't discover everything yet, because science is about mathematics. So what you guys have to understand that how do they measure consciousness? It's not something easy to do. Even when they do experiments, they never do it with human beings, I believe, but they do it with AI, or they do it with simple probabilities, because understanding the consciousness of a human being will bring to the table too many complex equations, and it is very hard to do. But the fact that science didn't say it's 100% true, or didn't prove it actually yet, they say it's possible, but they didn't prove it yet, that doesn't imply that it's not true. So try it. Be your own little scientist of yourself. follow what Neville said. And I really do believe Neville was right, because it did happen to me and it happened to so many people. So revise on spot, revise your past, and especially revise those trauma that you think are making you stuck into your particular situation. If you will revise with repetition, remember repetition is important, because your brain has to remember that is an actual memory that has happened. If you revise that trauma that is causing the block, or that is causing you to not have what you want, boom, your entire future will change. That trauma will cease to exist in this reality for you, or in your reality, okay? I hope this video makes sense, because you have to understand that version of you already exists and your higher selves knows it. And I want to even talk about the bridge of events in another video, and why it's so powerful, and why you shouldn't ask how things is gonna happen, but let's do another video. Otherwise, this video will be an hour long. I hope this video served you in some sort of way. It definitely changed my mind to know this information, and I'm gonna bring it more and more. So subscribe to this channel to have more. DM coaching is down below. Revise your past and change your future. I love you guys. Bye.